Welcome back to our channel. Today, we delve into a gripping tale of love, manipulation, and the chilling consequences of staying in a toxic relationship. Our story centers around Brooke Bailey, a rising fashion star, and Jim Jones, a man whose charm masks a web of control and danger. What happens when Jim's son delivers a shocking warning that could change everything? Brooke soon discovered that Jim's temper was as volatile as his charm was captivating. Moments of affection quickly spiraled into jealousy and rage, leaving her feeling vulnerable and trapped. Despite the emotional roller coaster, she tried to convince herself that love could conquer all, that she could change Jim. Yet deep down, a whisper nagged at her, urging her to acknowledge that something was fundamentally wrong. It wasn't until one fateful evening that everything changed. Jim's son, having witnessed the chaos of his father's relationships, approached Brooke during a lavish event. Finding her alone in a quiet corner, his voice trembled with urgency as he spoke. "You need to leave him," he implored, his eyes filled with fear and determination. "If you don't, he'll destroy your life. I've seen it happen before." In the heart of a bustling city, where ambition often hides darker motives, a story of love and danger took shape. Jim Jones, a name well known on the streets, was a man with both influence and charm. But behind his magnetic presence lay a web of manipulation and control. Brooke Bailey, a rising star in the fashion industry, was celebrated for her striking looks and fierce determination. Her career was on a rapid ascent, securing her high-profile contracts and prestigious runway shows. When she met Jim, her life began to change. At first, she was captivated by his confidence and power, swept into a passionate romance that promised excitement and thrill. As they grew closer, Brooke found herself enchanted by Jim's lifestyle. He brought her into a world of glamorous parties, exclusive events, and powerful circles. She felt alive, exhilarated by the attention and new opportunities. But as time passed, the glossy surface began to crack, exposing the darker realities beneath. Jim's temper was as unpredictable as his charm was captivating. Moments of affection would quickly shift to jealousy and rage, leaving Brooke feeling vulnerable and trapped. She often found herself excusing his behavior, clinging to the belief that love could overcome anything. Yet deep down, she felt a growing unease, a subtle warning that something was deeply wrong. Then, one fateful night, Jim's son came into the picture. A young man caught in the chaos of his father's legacy. He had watched the turbulence of their family unfold. His childhood had been molded by the allure of power, but he had also seen its destructive impact on those around him. The son carried the weight of knowledge. He understood the darkness that lurked behind Jim's charming facade. Following a particularly intense argument between Brooke and Jim, the son discovered her alone in a quiet corner of an extravagant event. His voice quivered with urgency as he spoke. "You need to leave him," he insisted. His eyes reflected a mix of fear and determination. "If you don't, he'll destroy your life. I've witnessed it happen before. He knows how to break people emotionally and mentally. He'll make you feel like you're worthless." Brooke's heart raced at his words, a cold shiver creeping down her spine. The sincerity in his gaze was overwhelming, stripping away her bravado and exposing the fragility of her situation. She had dismissed the whispers of danger, believing she could handle Jim's volatility. But now, the weight of his son's warning loomed over her like a dark cloud, demanding her focus. Days turned into weeks as Brooke wrestled with her decision. Each moment spent with Jim grew more suffocating. The glitz and glamour she once cherished began to feel like chains, binding her to a life she no longer recognized. Memories surged in her mind, the way Jim dictated her schedule, how he isolated her from friends, and the manipulation disguised as love. Each recollection eroded her resolve. Despite her inner turmoil, Brooke tried to convince herself that she could change Jim, that love would be enough to mend the fractures in their relationship. Yet, the more she held on to that hope, the more she felt the walls closing in around her. The son's warning echoed persistently, a plea for her to acknowledge the truth she had long ignored. It was during a particularly lavish party, amidst laughter and the sound of clinking glasses, that Brooke reached her breaking point. She watched Jim charm the crowd, his smile enchanting everyone around him. But when their eyes locked, a chill ran through her. In that instant, she felt trapped, caught between the man she believed she loved and the suffocating reality surrounding her. Taking a deep breath, Brooke made a decision. She would confront Jim, no longer willing to accept the threatening shadows that loomed over her. The following day, she found him in his office, the atmosphere thick with unspoken words. "Jim," she began, her voice shaking yet resolute. "I can't do this anymore. This isn't love, it's control." The confrontation erupted, Jim's fury flaring as he realized she was serious. He unleashed a barrage of threats and insults, frantic to reclaim control over her. However, Brooke stood firm, strengthened by the insights she had gained from his son and her own experiences. She could now see the truth. The power he held was merely a facade, a mask that concealed his insecurities. As she turned her back on Jim and his world, a weight was lifted from her shoulders. Brooke was no longer a prisoner of someone else's making. She was taking back her narrative, prepared to write her own story. The threat had indeed been real, but so was her determination. In the aftermath, Brooke uncovered a newfound strength. She immersed herself in her career, rekindling old friendships and embracing the independence she had long neglected. The journey was not without obstacles, but each step forward reinforced her belief that love should elevate, not ensnare. Ultimately, Brooke's story transformed into one of empowerment, serving as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the strength to rise and break free resides within. Shadows may persist, but the light of self-discovery shines brighter, illuminating the path to a future shaped by her own choices. In the heart of a bustling city, where ambition often conceals darker motives, a narrative of love and menace unfolded. Jim Jones, a name that reverberated through the streets, was a man of both influence and charm. But beneath his charismatic facade lay a web of manipulation and control. Brooke Bailey was an emerging star in the fashion realm, recognized for her striking appearance and fierce determination. Her career had soared, landing her prized contracts in prestigious runway shows. Yet, when she encountered Jim, her world began to change. Initially, she was mesmerized by his confidence and power, drawn into a whirlwind romance that promised excitement and passion. As their relationship deepened, Brooke found herself enchanted by Jim's lifestyle. He welcomed her into a world of glamorous parties, exclusive events, and influential circles. She felt invigorated, exhilarated by the attention and the opportunities that surrounded her. However, as time passed, the shimmering facade began to tarnish, unveiling the darker truths hidden beneath. Jim's temper was as unpredictable as his charm was captivating. Moments of tenderness would quickly transform into jealousy and rage, leaving Brooke feeling vulnerable and trapped. Often, she found herself rationalizing his behavior, convinced that love could overcome anything. But deep inside, she sensed a growing unease, a whisper that something was fundamentally wrong. Then, one fateful night, Jim's son entered the scene. A young man ensnared in the turmoil of his father's legacy. He had witnessed the chaos of their family unfold. His upbringing had been shaped by the allure of power, but he had also seen the devastating consequences it had on those around them. The son carried a heavy burden of knowledge. He understood the darkness that lay hidden behind Jim's charming smile. After a particularly heated argument between Brooke and Jim, the son discovered her alone in a quiet corner of an extravagant event. His voice quivered with urgency as he spoke. "You need to leave him," he insisted. His eyes reflected a mix of fear and determination. "If you don't, he'll destroy your life. I've seen it happen before. He knows how to break people emotionally and mentally. He'll make you feel worthless." Brooke's heart raced at his words, a cold shiver coursing down her spine. The sincerity in his eyes cut through her bravado, exposing the fragility of her circumstances. She had dismissed the whispers of danger, believing she could handle Jim's volatility. However, now the weight of his son's warning hung over her like a dark cloud, demanding her attention. Days turned into weeks as Brooke wrestled with her decision. Every moment spent with Jim became increasingly suffocating. The glitz and glamour she had once enjoyed began to feel like chains, tethering her to a life she no longer recognized. Memories rushed into her thoughts, the way Jim controlled her schedule, how he isolated her from friends, and the manipulation that disguised itself as love. Each memory chipped away at her resolve. Despite her internal struggle, Brooke attempted to persuade herself that she could change Jim, that love would be sufficient to mend the fractures in their relationship. Yet the more she clung to that hope, the more she sensed the walls closing in around her. The sun's warning echoed persistently, a plea for her to acknowledge the truth she had long chosen to ignore. It was at a particularly extravagant party, surrounded by laughter and the clinking of glasses, that Brooke reached her breaking point. She observed Jim charming the crowd, his smile enchanting everyone around him. But when their eyes locked, a chill coursed through her. In that instant, she felt trapped, caught between the man she believed she loved and the suffocating reality that surrounded her. Brooke's journey was fraught with challenges, but each step she took toward independence reinforced her belief that love should uplift, not entrap. As she immersed herself in her career and rekindled friendships, she discovered a newfound strength within herself. The threat she had faced was real, but so was her determination to break free. The path ahead was uncertain, yet the light of self-discovery shone brighter than the shadows that had once loomed over her. In the end, Brooke's story serves as a powerful reminder that even in the darkest moments, the strength to rise and break free lies within us. We all have the ability to reclaim our narrative and forge our own paths. So, what will Brooke choose? Will she find the courage to leave Jim behind and embrace the life she deserves? Thank you for joining us today. If you found this story compelling, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, remember, your story is yours to write, and it's never too late to change the narrative.